But if you were to ask me a question concerning the Quran, the sacred text of Islam, and I could come up with the answer with great speed and accuracy, and I could quote the proper surah or chapter, then it would be reasonable for you to infer that I was not only a follower of Islam, but that I considered it to be superior to all other forms of religion. If I did this in a house of worship, that would be fine. But if I did it in an 11th grade classroom, in a public school, that would be preaching, not teaching. So why in the world are we here today? Why? Because Miss Wesley refused to apologize. And that means that her true motivation in that moment in her classroom was to take an innocent question and turn it into an opportunity to preach, not teach. If we grant Miss Wesley the right to do that, and by extension, everyone else, to violate the law based solely on our own private beliefs, then our society will crumble. I believe that. So I implore you, please do not set this precedent. Do not. The future of our republic depends on it.
What's going on? Brooke is exercising her right to protest.
Brooke, I need you to stop this immediately. Brooke, this is the last time I'm going to tell you. If you don't stop right now, there are going to be consequences.
Hey, Aunt Amy.
Hey, Marlene. Yeah, I just saw the video. What's going on?
So, you remember my friend Brooke?
Yeah?
Well, she got a teacher in trouble for asking her about Jesus.
What?
Now, she's not even supposed to talk about it, and we can't even cover it in our school paper.
Is there any way that I could meet with her?
The teacher?
No. Brooke.
Mr. Endler, the opening statement.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I have here a copy of the Constitution of the United States of America and its Bill of Rights. Arguably, the two most important documents in the history of our great nation. But despite Mr. Kane's impassioned rhetoric, you know what you won't find in there? No matter how hard you look. The phrase, separation of church and state. That's right. It's not in there. Never has been. Because that phrase comes from a letter written by Thomas Jefferson. Now, ironically, Jefferson was writing to a Baptist congregation, ensuring them that they would always have the right to believe as they wished, free of government interference. But lately, that phrase has been taken out of context and twisted and contorted to mean the exact opposite. You know, one morning early this year, my client, Miss Wesley, she woke up as usual. She drove to work at her job as a teacher at Martin Luther King High School, a place where she was Teacher of the Year. Her lesson plan for second period AP history that morning, it didn't include any mention of God or Jesus. She didn't have a Bible sitting on her desk in plain view. She didn't start her class with a blessing. She didn't lead her students in prayer. No. All she did was answer a question. Because that is what she gets paid to do. And Mr. Kane will insist loudly and often that faith isn't on trial here. But that is exactly what is on trial. The most basic human right of all, the right to believe. But Mr. Kane's afraid. He's afraid that you, the jury, the touchstone of common sense, might not agree with his tortured interpretation of the Constitution. But you might understand that my client has rights, rights that trump his agenda. And that in realizing that, you will hold, as I do, that my client is guilty of no wrongdoing and innocent of any and all claims against her. Thank you very much.
And now it's become this huge deal, and all she did was answer my question.
Why do you think your parents are doing this?
Because my mom thinks it'll help me get into Stanford or one of the Ivies. And my dad thinks it'll help pay for it.
And nobody's asked you what you think?
No. So? Are you gonna help her?
I don't know. I would at least like to talk to her. Maybe I could help get her story out there.
Great, because everyone's telling me to stay out of it.
Do you always do what you're told? What is your heart telling you to do?
Mr. Thorley, how did you feel when you found out that your daughter had been exposed to faith-based teachings in class?
Well, it felt like we had been violated. I mean, this was supposed to be a history class, not Sunday school. My wife and I are free thinkers. We're rationalists. We believe in a non-theistic worldview, and that's how we were trying to raise our daughter.
And did you discuss this incident with your daughter?
Well, I tried, but it's hard discussing anything with kids that age. She's 16. Some of you know what that's like. It's hard enough trying to maintain credibility as a parent without a teacher jumping in and arguing against your position. Now, we trust the school not to overstep its bounds in terms of what is and what isn't appropriate. Was that too much to ask?
No, thank you, Mr. Thorley. That's all, Your Honor.
Your witness, Miss Endler.
No questions, Your Honor.
Next witness, Miss King.
Mrs. Rizzo, did Ms. Wesley talk about faith issues on the school campus?
All the time. Everybody knows she's a Christian.
Many years have passed since Moses, at the age of 120, died without seeing the Promised Land, and since Jehovah caused the walls of Jericho to collapse, allowing the Hebrew tribes, led by Joshua, Moses' successor, to enter the city, destroy and raze it to the ground, and to kill all the inhabitants of Jericho without distinction. In the years following the resounding victory against Jericho that was the gate to the Promised Land, as Joshua ordered, the Israelites settled in the land of Canaan that the Lord had given them. While many of them still lived in camps of tents like nomads, shepherds and merchants, others became farmers and artisans. They constructed villages and cities and lived in houses built with stone and clay bricks. When he was 110 years old, Joshua, son of Nun, faithful servant of Jehovah, died. The elders of his people wept for many days the loss of their commander, the successor of Moses. But after the death of Joshua, the new generations of the children of Israel dispersed in hundreds of camps, villages and cities. Few knew about the pains suffered by their forefathers. None of them could imagine what great gift that Jehovah had offered to their fathers and grandfathers, releasing them from the Pharaoh's slavery and taking them out of Egypt. Following the example of nearby peoples, many abandoned the God of Abraham, Isaac and Israel, who released their fathers to give their sons the possibility to be free men, and they began to worship the god Baal. As punishment, Jehovah abandoned them and delivered them into the hands of marauders and the greedy people nearby, who killed their sons and enslaved their daughters. When they were tired from their troubles, the children of Israel cried for their sins. So Jehovah sent judges among them, righteous men to lead the tribes of his people towards salvation.
Jehovah blesses you, Joseph.
Where are you going, Caleb?
To remind everyone that in heaven there's a Father who loves them.
They forgot him, and now they're crying.
They have to remember him, otherwise there'll be trouble.
May Jehovah guide your footsteps. Good luck, Caleb.
In the meantime, the Israelites sang and danced to pay homage to the great god Baal, who took the place of Jehovah in their hearts.
Why did you people abandon your God?
Our neighbors worship Baal. Why shouldn't we also have our own God?
We want another God. But Baal isn't your father's God.
Our fathers are dead. Dead!
But Baal is a god of clay, just clay. Your God is the living God, the high invisible master of the heavens, your creator.
Go away! You're an imposter! If your God is invisible, then that means he doesn't exist!
Damn you!
This unfaithful behavior of the Israelites aroused Jehovah's anger, because many of them not only did not respect Moses' law, but even continued to worship Baal and other gods made of clay and stone, venerated by the nearby people.
Where did he go? He went that way.
And the men ran after him, but they did not find any trace of the prophet.
He's not here.
Perhaps he went that way.
And the children of Israel continued doing what is evil in the sight of the Lord, regardless of the consequences. And then the Lord said,
Because this nation violated the covenant I established with their fathers, and they didn't obey to my voice, I won't chase any more before them any of the nations that Joshua left when he died. So through their means I'll test the Israelis to see if they follow the path of the Lord, and will walk on it as their fathers did, or not.
And the Lord tested the Hebrew people once more. He just wanted the new generations of the children of Israel to know and learn war, at least those that had not seen it before.